All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. And repeat this over John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. And they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come by Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, of whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise, Abba, and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, Jay. Shalom, Brother Marcus, man. We in Nehemiah chapter 2. Instead of starting at verse 1 off the top, I'm going to come over here to verse 16, because that's the verse that I use to name it, and then I'll go back to verse 1. And the rulers knew not whither I went, or what I did, neither as I yet told it to the Yahudim, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Then I said unto them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem, Shalom, Brother Marvin, how Jerusalem lie waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my Alahym, which is good upon me. Also the king's words that he has spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build, so that they strengthen their hands for this good word. But when Sanballat and Hornat and Tobiah the servant and the Ammonite and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed up to scorn and despised us, and said, what is this thing that you do? Will you rebel against the king? Then answered I them and said unto them, the Alahym and Shamayim, he will prosper us. Therefore we are his servants will arise and build, but you have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. Shalom, Miguel. All right, let's come back to verse 1. You know, we're dealing with a testimony thing that we've been dealing with. We got Nehemiah 2. I'm going to go ahead and slide that off of here. So we just got Judges 1, Numbers 1, Lamentations 5, Jeremiah 5, Ruth 3, and that'll be it. Then I got something we were kicking a bit with about yesterday in Matthew, 2 chapters in Matthew, son and Zechariah. And it came to pass, this is Nehemiah 2:1, in the month of Nisan, the 20th year of Xerxes, the Malik, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. And I had not been before time sad in his presence. Nisan would be the equivalent of Abib, or the first month of the year. Wherefore the king said unto him, why is your countenance sad, seeing you are not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was so afraid. And he said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad, when the city, the place of my fathers' sepulchres, lie waste? The gates thereof are consumed with fire. Then said the king unto me, for what do you make request? So I prayed to the Alahym and Shamayim. And I said unto the Malik, if it please the Malik, and if your servant have found favor in your sight, that you would send me unto Yehuda, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. And the king said unto him, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall your journey be? And when will you return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given to me, to governors beyond the river, that I may convey me over till I come into Yehuda. A letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gate of the palace, which appertain to the house, for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And Amalek granted me according to the good hand of my Alahym upon me. Then I came to the governors beyond the river, and they gave them the king's letters. Now the king has set captains of army and horsemen. What's happening with you, homie? When Sanballat the Hornite and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, heard it, it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the sons of Yasharal. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. And I arose in the night, and I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my Alahym had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well into the dung port, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. Then I went on the gate of the fountain to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then I went up by night, of the night by the brook, viewed the wall, turned back, entered by the gate of the valley, and so returned. Now, we done read 16 to 20. So, with that being said, we're dealing with the rebuilding of Jerusalem. Shalom, Sister Jenny. So, with that being said, what I want to focus on, what a verse at? Dang, I just was looking at it. All right, here, come over to verse 9. Nehemiah 2 and 9. But matter of fact, make it 2 and 4. Let's deal with that. Shalom, Brother Robert. Let's deal with that first. Then the king said unto me, for what do you make request? Matter of fact, I need to back that up. Let me just do one. Let me do all that. So, of course, in verse 1, you're looking at that Xerxes has wine before him. He took up the wine, meaning Nehemiah. And he had not done this, been sad in the presence of the king. So let's pause. Let's look at his forefathers picking up the wine, being sad before the king. You know what it is and you know what it ain't. Come to Luke 22. So we're going to swing over here to Luke 22 and verse 14. And the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the Malkuth for Alahym. And he took up the cup and gave thanks and said, take this, divide it among yourselves. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the Malkuth of Shamahin shall come. And he took bread and gave thanks and brake it and gave unto them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. Likewise, also the cup after supper, saying, this is the cup of the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. But behold, the hand of him that betrayed me is with me on the table. And truly the son of Adam go as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. So as we drop down and we get to verse 39. And he came out and went as he was wont to the Mount of Olives. And his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, if you be willing, remove this cup from me. But nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared a Alahym unto him from Shamahin, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and sweat was great drops of blood falling to the ground. Now, I just read that on general principle. Now, we're reading this here because of Nehemiah 2 testimony wise that say the king is asking him, why is his countenance sad, and why are you sick? Now, you know, verbiage wise, in Matthew, it says that he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. And it states that he had never been sad in the king's presence. When we look at Yahushua's lifetime in the Gospels, the time period of his betrayal and soon to be arrest and preceding crucifixion, that was the only time that you read with him being actually genuinely sad in the king's presence or his father's presence. Let's return to Nehemiah 2 and 3. Now, what are we running this down for? Because we were dealing with the testimony of Yahushua's the Ruach of prophecy. Everybody picked a chapter. You know what I'm saying? The way we're going to go, we're just going through it and ascertaining where do you see his testimony at. Because Lord willing, Mama Steph writing a book called Grandma's Bible. And I'm going to have a section in said book. And the section in said book is going to be on the very thing that we focus on, which is the testimony of Yahushua. Now, at this particular juncture, I'm trying to formulate it in my brain on how to frame it. You know what I'm talking about? to put this together. But this foray of what we've been doing is pretty much, and of course, why we read John 5:39 when we start. Most of you who don't see a video from the beginning may not catch that. But that's why we start with that, because that's the foundational principle of what we built on. That, lo, he come in the volume of the book. It is written of him. You know what I'm saying? Some people see it that way. Some people don't. You know what I'm saying? They had a G-check a gentleman last night for that very point, because some things irritate my soul. Like, a lot of dudes like to go back and forth about doctrine. I don't really care nothing about that. But when you got individuals who, peace, brother Omar, that you say you a preacher and teacher of the word, and you move weird. When Yahushua heard Lazarus was dead, he cried. He wasn't sad then. They said sad in his father's presence. That's the key component of what we're looking at right here, blood. In verse 2, in Nehemiah 2, wherefore the king said unto me, why is your countenance sad, seeing you are not sick? I'm sorry, came to pass in the month of Nisan, which of course you see the corresponding correlation with that. Nisan and Abib, same month, first month of the year. I'll get that for those who may not be aware. You didn't hear it out loud. Because you also got the time when he wept over Jerusalem, saying, hey, she don't know the time of her visitation. Now, Nisan, noon. Samak, noon. It means their flight. It's the first month of, the Hebrew calendar. And it corresponds, with March and April of this time. It's the first month of the Hebrew year, or the Jewish year, or the Israelite year, however you want to put it. I always told you that you have to focus on that, right? That when people are like, oh, the new year's not in January. No, your new year is not in January. Their new year is. Once you understand that, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that ain't going to really grind your gears for real. Because I know it'd be difficult for us to click that in our brain, because we live in this particular time period in world history, but the world wasn't interconnected like that. You know what I'm saying? These people lived according to their particular culture, and that's what it was. It wasn't everybody's following this calendar, because everybody was not. A Philistine didn't care about the month of Abib. It wasn't relevant to them. You know what I'm saying? Someone from Tyre and Zidon, someone, an Ammonite, a Moabite, an Edomite. The beginning of the year for them is the beginning of the year for them. You know what I'm saying? And when you start looking at it from that perspective, that these were distinct people groups with their own gods, with their own culture, with their own calendar, the type of stuff that go on here won't get you uptight. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people be uptight. Because that's why I mentioned that there. This dude, like, a lot of these dudes feel like you got to check everybody, bro. That junk is exhausting. Grown men talking about that's a cut, every cut and corner. Like, you know what I mean? That junk is weird. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. You know what I'm saying? You take Sharon, for example. Y'all be seeing Sharon making all these comments on these doggone videos. She's weird. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing you could do with that. Why? Because Sharon wants an argument. And one day we going to give her an argument. Just what she's looking for. Going to bring her up on StreamYard, and she can come up here and say whatever she want to say off her chest. But when it come with this work, though, you're going to get served. Whether you want to buy it or not, don't make no difference. Why did I mention that? Because people feel like you need to force people to believe what you believe or see it how you see it. You know what I'm saying? I frankly don't give a damn. Definitely don't. And you know why I don't care? Because I'm 1,000% solidified in what it is that I believe in. So therefore, I have no interest in trying to convince you by all means necessary. Or as my man's been saying lately, you want to believe that you believe. And that's where a lot of people are at. And God forbid that we get to the point where we are talking and operating that we're with a mind of we're trying to believe that we believe, because you know deep down in your heart you really don't believe nothing that's on the paper, nothing that's on the book, not a word that's been spoken, not a word that's been recorded. Because a lot of people don't. And as we was been discussing too, and I've been trying to help y'all frame to have this particular frame of mind. A lot of people, if we were alive in the first century when Yahushua was walking around, they wouldn't have followed him. They wouldn't have listened to him. Now, see, the proper mindset to have is you would pray that Yahuwah would give you a mind to receive what that man was saying. But the reality is the mass majority of the people rejected him then. So you mean to tell me you don't think the mass majority of people would reject him now? That's insane. What you think people would have done if they would have seen Isaiah in 2026 walk around butt naked? You see the things that you see, you know what I'm talking about? These men being moved to do, most people gonna think they crazy. Most people not going. If this man told Ezekiel, if I sent you to a people of a strange speech, and they would have listened to you, but I'm sending you to the children of Israel, and don't be upset because they're not going to listen to you, because they're not going to listen to me, it's going to change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Brother Shaul. It's going to change your perspective. Somebody asked me that years ago, like, do you know that these people didn't follow this man like that? But see, we formulated that in our mind because of the proliferation of Western Christianity. So because you see all these churches in all our neighborhoods and churches all over America, and people saying, oh, I believe in Jesus, I believe the Bible, you think that's what it was back then. You know what I'm saying? Oh, indeed, Shaul, indeed. But it wasn't, though. It wasn't, though. You got what I'm saying? The mass majority, he said he came into his own and his own received him not. So that means he was overwhelmingly rejected. And he was overwhelmingly rejected because the people knew not. Let me read you this in John 8. And I ain't saying this to be funny or disrespectful. See, Cuz pissed me off. My last straw with this dude, because he always be arguing, is he was trying to call my man's wicked for taking medicine to keep him alive. Doing the same junk that all these Hebrews do, because you find out that Greek word pharmakia, and it relates to witchcraft, and you see the word pharmacy, and you want to relate that to see if you taking medication. Peace, Brother Nate, that's witchcraft. And you got to be as stupid as the day you were born, man. You know what I'm saying? You got big, grown, rusty people telling people, nah, bro, don't take your medication. But you ain't got nothing to replace that medication with. These people not getting high. People taking stuff so they can stay alive. Like straight like that. And that's part of the reason why I tell you, man, you can't tell people what to do because you don't got to live with the outcome. You telling people, no, don't take your heart medication, bro. Don't do this. Listen, man, my herbalist right now will give you a protocol full of herbs to help you get off your medication. He ain't going to tell you to stop taking it. You know, that's just improper. That's just incompetent. You know what I'm saying? That's just idiotic. And it's just so you don't really care about people. You just care about being right. Or you care about your personal perspective being the perspective that people should hold, because that's how you see it. But how does that actually benefit that individual who you claim that you want to bring to God? See, most individuals don't want to bring people to you, who you want to bring people to your doctrine. That's the difference. Y'all all know what Proverbs 11 say, he that wins souls is wise. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. Are you trying to bring people into the covenant of Alahym that they might live forever? Or are you trying to bring people into your doctrine, into your assembly, into your denomination, for lack of a better term? You know what I'm saying? And that junk is weird, bro. Because that's why I be telling y'all, most of these dudes, man, if I wasn't in the word and you stepped to me and I heard you talk, I'd walk away from you. Man, get your goofy behind out my face, man. Grown men telling you they preach the word in the same breath say they sin. How you gonna teach me you ain't taught yourself? What you gonna help me to stop doing? You ain't even helped yourself. And dude said that made him real. Remember I be telling y'all that, like how Pac put it, man, just don't bob your head to the beat. Listen to what they saying. Is that real to you? Is that real to you if a man say, I'm sent by God, I'm a servant of God, I'm a preacher of God, I'm a teacher of God, but I sin? So once he say I sin, he just told you, I don't believe in God. I don't fear God. I don't love God. But listen to me tell you how to do it. And that's real. And you think that's real because he tell you he's sin? That's real to you? That means you fake, he fake. And anybody who think like that, fake right along with it. Because ain't nothing authentically real about none of that. Because what you know would be the real part was, I ain't going to teach nobody till I teach myself. And you know they say that in Romans 2. I can read it on general principle. Because you're going to have your God's name blasphemed by doing that. People not going to take you seriously. How am I going to take you seriously about you telling me to fear God and you don't? You telling me to love God and you don't? That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Don't even make common sense. Not even considering, hey, boy, there's somebody's life on the line. Like your life on the line. Boy, the time coming when the light's going to go out, man. And your soul going to have to give account. And when you come up on that day of resurrection, man, you don't want to have to be, you know, I sinned a little bit. Come on, blood, what is you talking about? He used the same argument that people always use. Do you sin? Oh, if you say you have, if you say you don't have no, these niggas don't know the difference between I don't have sin and I don't sin. They don't know the difference between that. If you say you don't have sin, you say you've never sinned in your life. If you say I don't sin, that means I don't participate in the behavior. He told me, I'm not a sinner, I just sin. Nigga, you're an offender, you're a criminal. How you gonna be a son of God and do that? And you know what the sad part is? That we will confidently say that, like that makes us humble. That don't make you humble. It make you humble to a dummy. It make you humble to somebody who don't know God. Somebody who know God know you sound like a fool. See, this is where people get the game twisted, man. I'm telling you, this junk really pisses me off. Because I've been hearing people say this for almost 20 years. Junk pisses me off. There's a difference of somebody being in the word and you struggling with your flesh and you fresh in the word and you trying to be strong and maybe you stumble. See, we're not talking about that. Because you know when it said he that sinned willfully, it's not talking about any sins that are done of ignorance or weakness. Because the reality is these people know what they be doing. And you think it's acceptable to say that you're doing it. And that bro. I'm like, bro, how y'all been in this 10, 15 years and you still sinning? And you talk about it every day. And you condemning people every day. And you condemning people's teachings every day. Nigga, you condemning yourself. You condemning yourself. Because you hadn't even taken the time to say, hey, let me put this away. Because I asked the dude straight up and down, like, what is it that you're doing? Are you masturbating? Are you a homosexual? Are you an idolater? Are you a thief? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I've asked all that before. What sin is an individual seeking to commit that is that serious that you can't stop? Like, what is it that you out here doing? What out here in the world is so enticing that you'll forsake the right of the firstborn to go participate in it? Like it don't make sense. God told him, I said something to him because you say you a teacher of the word, blood. And this what you giving people? That's a stumbling block. When you make an individual feel comfortable with the thought process, well, I'm always gonna sin, I'm gonna sin. You just introduce them to mediocrity and failure, and they'll be comfortable with it, and they'll stay there. And men, a man is not supposed to instruct men to be comfortable with accepting failure and mediocrity just for the case of accepting it. Like that's crazy. I'm going to teach you that you're going to be a failure, that you're not going to be able to achieve a mark that God said you can achieve, when that's a choice that we're making. We're choosing to sin. The devil ain't making you sin. Ain't no demons making you sin. Ain't no person making you sin. You choosing to sin. So the same way you could choose to sin, the same way you can lean into your flesh, you can resist the flesh and lean into the spirit, and you can choose to obey. He said, I said before you blessings and curses, life and death, therefore choose life. Every time you choose sin, you choose death. Every time you choose the flesh, you choose the devil. He said, he who you yield your member servants to obey is to him you obey, whether sin unto death or righteousness unto life. So every time you choose obedience, you choose Yahuwah, meaning you choose life. That's as simple as that. And we want to make it murky to make ourselves feel more comfortable about what it is that we got going on. You a brute, my G. Like, nah, blood, that's not what it is. And I keep telling you that junk irritate me, bro, because you do not have to live a life of sin. You don't have to do that. That's a lie straight from the pits of hell. Why would your God tell you you could be perfect, but you really can't be perfect, and he gonna condemn you for not being perfect? That make common sense to you? No, I don't. So you just got to sit back and weigh and consider that, man. Is the stuff that these people saying, is that real to you? Like, is that real to you? And if somebody, because I'm telling you, because that's how these people be feeling, man, because they all say it. When I say all, I'm speaking in generalities. Yeah, I sin sometimes. Yeah, I sin. I'm a sinner. Bro, that don't make you humble, blood. It really don't. It make you look like a fool. If you are an individual who says that you are a teacher of the word, or you present yourself in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? When you present yourself in that capacity and you say that, that don't make you look humble. That make you look like a hypocrite. It do. Because we've been conditioned to think that you can't do that. It don't click in your brain. You ain't taught yourself not to be an idolater, bro. You ain't taught yourself not to covet your neighbor's wife. You ain't taught yourself that. Well, what you got going on? Because the man said a good tree don't produce corrupt fruit. So how can you be a good tree if you sin and that would be corrupt fruit? That's contrary to what the man said. I don't even be understanding the fight and the pushback. I do understand of why individuals want to sin so bad. You want to push for that because you want to sin. And if somebody's not sinning, then that look bad on you, and that means somebody going to hell. And when I say that, meaning that's that Mashiach that's in that person is a testimony against you. You dig? John 8 and 45. Though. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convinced me of a sin? And if I say the truth, why did you not believe me? He that is of Alahym hears Alahym's words. You therefore hear them not because you're not of Alahym. That's the reality of the situation that a lot of people don't like to deal with. I had something else in my mind. I can't remember what it was. Let's come back to Nehemiah. I just had it because I'm talking about, bro, that junk pissed me off, man. Because dude, he talking about cut down bad, for real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, when this man got to go to the hospital, when he down bad, you ain't going to call him. You ain't going to text him. You ain't going to see about him. You ain't going to send no bread to him. You ain't going to sit and talk to him and keep him company, keep his spirits up. You ain't going to do none of that. Nigga goofy as hell, man. But yeah, Marvin, man, look at this here right here. Nehemiah 2:1. He said, "And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Xerxes, the king, wine was before him. I took up the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence." So what we're looking at is when Mashiach is making that prayer, he had never been sad in his father's presence until it was time for him to die. You dig? But come on back, Nehemiah 2, man. Birdfold. And then I grab this stuff out of Matthew, you know what I'm saying? See what y'all point of view is on that. The king said unto me, "For what do you make request?" So I prayed to the Alahym and Shamim. And I said unto the king, if it please the king, for sure. If it please the king, if your servant have found favor in your sight, that you would send me to Yehuda unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. Pause. Now come to Zechariah 12. Because he said, hey, I would want you to send me to Judah. Send me to Jerusalem. Now let's look at what we see in Zechariah 12. We link this back up with this here. And I can probably knock out what I got in Zechariah 12 right now. Or I might need to wait. So it's going to make me have to jump to Matthew 5 then early. Come over here to 12 and 6 of Zechariah. You know what I'm saying? People be on some other stuff, man. Because see, I don't really be talking much. And then people say something, they think I'm coming about no doctrine. Cause I'm gonna tell you straight now, I ain't arguing nigga about no doctrine, bro. I'm definitely not gonna do that. We can have a conversation. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. Okay, believe what you want to believe. Don't make me no never mind. You know what I'm saying? That's for your own sanity. I'm just repeating that to you, man, because you know, hey, you who would be merciful, man, you don't never know what type of time, you know what I'm saying, or moves or conversations or situations and circumstances that he may place you in to be able to administer shalom, dear man, administer a word to somebody at any given time. You feel me? So we got to make sure that your mindset is set on that you focus on administering that word to salvation, not going back and forth with nobody. Now again, let me be clear on this. If it's a civil and adult and mature conversation with different perspectives, you know, have that conversation. Just make sure you try to understand their point of view while you're conveying your point of view. And if you see, because the ability that I told you this before, the ability to understand their point of view can strengthen your ability to dispense your point of view that they might receive what you're saying. Because if you steadfast in what you believe and what you're saying, and you know that it's correct, you don't really have the need, want, or desire to fuss, fight, and argue with them about it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody told you today, nobody can't go a day without sinning. That's crazy. And he's supposed to be skilled in the word. That's crazy. But you understand, man, that junk irritate me, bro. Because if sin is the wages of death and the soul that sin, it shall die. And this man would manifest it to take away sins. And what we read about in Nehemiah is really pointing to that, which is what I'm trying to get to in Matthew and what we about to get in Zechariah. He said, I was just in the ER last Thursday, and that was the Most High showing anything can happen, like he said in Proverbs 27:2. Oh, for sure. Yahuwah willing, man, praise you. You will be merciful to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, anything can happen at any given time. And you know, and by the grace of Yahushua, man, we've been able to understand the testimony of Yahushua at a very, very elite level, to say the least. So, you know, praise be to Yahuwah for that. So because we've been found to be gracious in his eyesight as it pertains to that, you know what I'm saying? Then you have something very precious and something very valuable. So you have to move with real skill and dexterity of when you remit that to another individual. You know what I'm saying? And how you do it. You know what I'm saying? That's why you say you don't cast your pearls before swine, or you don't give that which is kadash under dogs. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we ain't here to force anybody to believe anything. You ain't got to believe nothing I say. You ain't got to like me, agree. I don't care about none of that. You got to love and agree with Yahuwah. You ain't got to love or agree with me. You know what I'm talking about? I genuinely don't care. Because one thing about it, man, people are always going to have something to say, whether in your face or when, you know what I'm saying, don't make no difference. Who gives a damn? You know what I'm saying? Told you before, man, you shouldn't live for the validation of man. You should live for the validation of your maker. And worry about what other people think or say. So what? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Who cares? Most people ain't happy and content within themselves. So they want you to be all discombobulated and mentally and emotionally and spiritually unstable as they are. And miserable and sad as they are. And chaotic and topsy-turvy as they are. You know what I'm saying? Most people ain't satisfied with themselves, man. And I ain't even talking about from an accomplishment standpoint. You know what I'm saying? The only difference that's going to come in at is if you root your self-worth to your accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? The reality is, man, if you ain't accomplished nothing in this world but you accomplished in heaven, you accomplished way more than any nigga on this planet. I can tell you that. Because they ain't going to be able to take none of them accomplishments nor the fruits thereof with them into the kingdom. That cities are paved with streets of pure gold that look like transparent glass, where eternal life abounds, where there's fountains of living water. They can't bring none of that there with them. It don't even matter. You know what I'm talking about? Remember what he told in that parable to the rich man? He say, in this life, you live sumptuously. You know what I'm saying? And Lazarus lived bad. Now you being tormented and Lazarus chilling. That's how the game go, my G. They don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. Zechariah 12:6. And that day I will make the governors of Yehuda like an earth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in the sheath. They shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place in Jerusalem. Yahushua shall also save the tents of Yehuda first, that the esteem of the house of David and the esteem of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Yehuda. And in that day Yahushua shall defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. He that is feeble among them, at that day shall be as David, and the house of David is Alahym, as the Malachim of Yahuwah before. Now, I read that there because he said he'll save the tents of Judah first. So as we go back to Nehemiah 2 and 5, where he says, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, if your servant had found favor in your sight, that you would send me to Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. Now he's looking to build this city. So let's come over here to Matthew 16. Just on the strength, 16 and 13. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna hip you to why I'm gonna ask y'all this here, man. Because my dog had a question for ISUPK, and he had a conversation with two dudes we know from ISUPK, you know what I'm saying? Niggas cool as hell, you know what I'm saying about that, and we discussed it further. Now, I think their organization might be, they're the only organization I know holds this particular stance, you know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily to ridicule about them about this stance, it's to see how you would perceive and respond if you had a conversation about said stance. So I'm going to read this Matthew 16 and 13. When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do the men say that I, the son of Adam, am? They said, some say that you are John the Baptist, some Elijah, others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said to them, but who say you that I am? Simon Peter answered and said, you are the Hamashiach, the son of the living Alahym. Yahushua answered and said unto him, Baruch are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed this unto you, but my Abba which is in Shamahim. And I say it also unto you, that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now, why did I focus on this here? He said I need to rebuild the city, the gates, and the walls. Come to 1 Peter chapter 2, because of course in this aspect, we're not looking at Mashiach building a physical city, because that's not what he's coming to do. So I'm going to read this 1 Peter chapter 2, you dig? From 1 Peter 2. I'm going to pick this up at verse 4. Then we'll read Revelation 21. Swing back to Nehemiah. I just want you to keep Matthew 5 and Matthew 11 in your brain. I think it's verse 7 in Zechariah 12 that we read that I'm going to deal with. Or 6. That'll be along the lines of what we got in Matthew. So this is 1 Peter 2 and 4. To whom coming, a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of Alahym, precious. You also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, a Kadash priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Alahym by Yahushua HaMashiach. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect and precious. He that believe on him should not be confounded. And unto you, therefore, which believe, he is precious. But to them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is the head of the corner. Now, what we focusing on this passage for is the Matthew 16 was to show forth of him rebuilding the city, but not rebuilding the city with bars and gates and slime and mortar and bricks as they did during Nehemiah's time, but building up a spiritual house, a spiritual city, one that comes from Shamahim, where the individual is not ashamed to say that Alahym is their God, as it says in Hebrews. Come on over here to Revelation 21. 21 and 22. And I saw no temple therein. For Yahuwah Alahym Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither the moon to shine in it. For the esteem of Alahym did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Now we just established another say God is that house. And that there was no physical house. And just on general principle, Romans 8 and 1 on general principle. Now, these of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in Shamahim, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle which the Lord pitched and not man. So we're just focusing on this here because a lot of people want to focus on dwelling in something built with man's hands and not understanding that this city to come that's going to be rebuilt is not going to be built with man's hands. And a lot of people don't want to deal with that. And there's a multitude of reasons why. From a particular state. Hey, leave that alone before you spray that in your face, boy. Now, of course, when we look at what Nehemiah's name means, it means Yahuwah comforts. So just keep that in mind that that's who you're dealing with. That's what Nehemiah represents. The one who Yahuwah comforts. Let's come back to Nehemiah 2, if we would. Go back this way. Nehemiah 2 and 5 one more time. He said we condemn the people in Genesis 11, but we do the same thing when we say kingdom building. I can't even say I disagree with that. You know what I mean? Just because, I'm familiar with the kingdom building terminology, but I'm not necessarily familiar with the mindset that go along with that. You know what I mean? So y'all would have to clue me in on that from y'all point of view, because that's just not verbiage that I've ever used. Because if I was looking at we kingdom building, then I would look at it, being Malkuth Banah, you know what I'm saying, which would mean the dominion and rule and building that, which would go with what we were talking about in Luke, that the kingdom is within you, that the dominion rule of God would be in the individuals who we coming around. Because we can't build his kingdom in that regard. We can build his kingdom like he said in Matthew 16 and 1 Peter 2, and that would become from the administration of salvation under individuals that they may be built as lively stones in Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, I don't really see how we would be building any kingdom for this man. You know what I'm saying? Also to Omar, that's the inverse of what you see in Genesis 11, is that they use brick and slimes and mortars, but those weren't lively stones that they were building to make a name. You know what I'm saying? Now you got lively stones which are you being made to make a name, and that name being Yahushua HaMashiach, of which all men must come under in order to be saved. And when we talk about being saved, we talking about saved from sin and death. Simple as that. Nehemiah 2 and 5. But like I said, if anybody has any insight to that in the contemporary terminology of kingdom building being used in this time period, by all means share it, because I'm not here to castigate or condemn it, because I ain't never been a part of anything where that was terminology that would be used. And I ain't knocking anybody who use it, because 9 times out of 10, their intent ain't bad. They moving according to, hey, this is kingdom building, this is what you're supposed to do, so that's what they do. See, what they mean is looking out for one another. Well, that's cool. Ain't nothing really wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Not at all. I mean, shoot, to keep it a bean, based off what he communicated to the disciples and communicated in general, I mean, that would be expanding the dominion and rule of his kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So shoot, I can't see nothing wrong with that. I can dig it. And I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if your servant had found favor in your sight, would you send me unto Yehuda, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it? And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, word. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me also. That kingdom building, you assume is any service to Yahuwah. I don't, shoot, if that's the terminology, I don't disagree with that either. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm only speaking from the perspective I know what those two words mean in Hebrew, and then dispensing what that would look like based off the definition. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall their journey be? And when you return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river, that I may convey me over till I come into Yehuda. A letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he gave me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to the good hand of my Alahym upon me. So now we look at, okay, now I need to be granted beams for the gates. So let's look at that as forth as John 10 as being given beams for the gates of what that would look like from a spiritual aspect of what's being conveyed. So let's look at John chapter 10, verse 25. Dang, I forgot to put my marker right there, man. Yahushua answered them, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Abba's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not, because you are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Abba which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Abba's hand. I and my Abba are one. Now, of course, we could read in John 6 when he said, no man can come to the Father except the Father draw him, and all men must come unto him, and nobody can come unto him unless the Father draw him. So when we look at that aspect of now he's been given the beams for the gates of the palace, which pertain to the house. Let's look at beams and gates. And we can also look at that also from another aspect. When we look at beams, you have Karah, Kuf, Rosh, and Hay, to encounter, to meet, or to befall, or to build with beams, to lay with beams, to furnish with beams. Now, of course, when you look at the palace, this is going to be Barah, Bat, Rosh, and Hay. This is palace, castle, or temple. Now, we just read that Yahuwah Alahym and the Lamb are the temple. And you are in the Lamb, and the Lamb is in you. Therefore, you know, as he said, this is a great mystery, which I speak between Hamashiach and the assembly. So in that aspect, and you're these lively stones, which is built up to the spiritual house, which is not made with hands. That's the aspect that a lot of people will look at. This is a house that is not made with hands. But when you look at it, that he gave you timber or tree or wood, which is eights, ayin, and sod, you know, we also can sit back and look at that as, you know, you taking up that stake to be able to build this house in the first place. Because everyone who pertains to this house is going to have to carry that suffering, which is something that nobody wants to do. You know what I'm saying? And again, that goes back to the aspect of what we were talking about, that people want to believe that they believe. See, people who are sanctimonious douchebags, overly aggressive with their points of view, feel like that they have to berate and cajole and attack everybody into their point of view. They don't really believe it. Because if they did, there would be no need for them to do that. Because when you got Yahusha say, I'm going to say what I got to say, and if they don't accept it, dust your feet off and slide, that's someone who's secure in what it is that they believe and what it is that they're preaching and teaching. They're not finna keep talking to nobody. That man say first, second admonition, third reject. So if somebody's not receiving what you're talking about and you still talking to them, you don't believe it. You don't believe it because you would cease and desist. Because you would understand the value and the worth of the words that you speaking. Not going to force somebody to capitulate to what you got going on. Man, there's a multitude of things that I could say to people who have that type of mindset, but I'll save that for another time because that's a type of psychological manipulation and machinations that can go into many different routes, which is rooted in many different things. Some people born like that, just being treacherous and malignant manipulators. And some people is based off of their life experiences would cause them to move like that. A lot of people is really rooted in an extreme level of low self-esteem and need for validation, usually from certain things that they lack from their childhood. And of course, I'm only referencing that when we go back to when we were talking about the aspect of how psychologists look at the framework of falling in love and the attachment styles that's pertaining to that. And that pertains to your relationship with your immediate caregiver. You know what I'm saying? It's people who are not secure and dealing with people, because people who are actually fully whole as an individual, who had to actually have the ability to properly separate from their original nurturer. I'm speaking from a man's point of view, by the way. They don't need or seek or desire to attach to a woman in the capacity that they were once attached to their mother. They're not looking for that. So their interaction with that woman is going to be completely different than a man who had a negative interaction with his original caregiver and original nurturer. So therefore, he's going to attach unto women differently. And because you didn't have a proper attachment and therefore separation from that caregiver, shalom, Brother Ernest, it leads to certain thought processes and points of view of how you view yourself. Then once you begin to get involved with certain things, how you begin to interact and communicate with other people. Because when you see people overwhelmingly want their points of views and thoughts to be accepted, there's something going on there. You know what I'm saying? There's something going on there because that's not normal. Confident and self-assured people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know a lot of people do that in their beginning of dealing with the word in your overzealousness of why you can't understand what I'm saying to you and you thinking this is how you get people on your type of time. And that's immaturity. But once time go past and you still doing that, oh, that speaks to something else. That's going to speak to something else. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to, I only mention these things because sometimes you have to pause to maybe run a self-assessment on yourself or to be able to understand another individual if they happen to be engaging with you in this type of capacity. Because if they're engaging you in this type of capacity, you can be able to have the level of compassion or the level of skill to properly navigate getting away from them. You know what I'm saying? Which is part of the reason why you see what you see in Proverbs. Don't answer a fool according to his folly. You know what I'm saying? Lest you be a fool like him, or answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceits. So this is where the skill and the wisdom come in at to be able to make these determinations. You know what I'm saying? Or like you say, to cast out the scorner and the strife shall cease. You know what I mean? So you have to pay attention to that because there's a lot of people out here hurting, man. A lot of people been going through it. You know what I mean? A lot of people ain't get what they wanted to get from their mother or from their father. You know what I'm saying? And it just metastasizes over time and it spills out once they begin to have adult interactions, no matter how those interactions are may look like, I should say. You know what I mean? But I just definitely noticed that more and more with a lot of these men in the word is like you want to force people to see it how you see it. You want to force people to agree with you. You want to force people to say, I cut you, my doctrine is better. None of these things are beneficial to anyone in the long run. Shoot, they're not even in the short term. So when you had this thought process of I'm gonna cut you up, or just continually coming at somebody about the same thing over and over and over again, that speaks to something that you got going on mentally and emotionally that's probably not up to task. And you might want to see about that. That's not yours. It's not yours. Nehemiah 2:9. Then I came to the governors beyond the river, and they gave them the king's letters. Now the king sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. And when Sanballat the Horonite, peace each man, and Tobiah the servant and the Ammonite heard it, it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the sons of Yasharal. Now we're gonna look at welfare here, because now it says that these men are saddened that someone has come to seek the welfare of the people. Now we'll have to line that up with what's in the Gospels. You did. So when you look at welfare here, it's the word that you all know. It's told, tet, u, and bat. Good, pleasant, agreeable. The benefit or the welfare or the prosperity. So they're sad because someone is coming to seek the prosperity of the sons of Yasharal. I'm going to read this John 10 on general principle. I'm going to read John 10. I'm going to pick this up at verse 7, and we'll move right along from that. Just because we're dealing with nobody's there to seek the wealth and prosperity of the sons of Yasharal, and they upset about that. After I read John 10, we'll read John 11 because we over that. Then said Yahushua unto them again, truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief come not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Now I'm going to give you this Greek definition for abundance. You can go to John 11 and 44. So this Greek word for abundance is perissos. Superior, extraordinary, preeminence, superiority, advantage, more eminent, more remarkable, more excellent. For all intents and purposes, fundamentally the definition of Torah. So I'm coming to seek your welfare, your prosperity, your excellence, that which is good and pleasant. Now let's look at these men who were grieved because this man came to seek that prosperity. This is John 11 and 45. Then many of the Yahudim, which came to Mary and had seen the things which Yahushua did, believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Let me pause this here, right? So I was talking to a dude, man, about people talking about the 48 laws of power. And you know what I'm saying? And I've told y'all this before, right? Because this is a statement that the gentleman made. And this is why I mentioned this, right? You look at the 48 laws of power. He tell you it's a book for those who are interested in power, being aware of power, so on and so forth. It's a history book. Real people in it. This be the problem with it. And this be the problem with most people in the United States of America. You think because a low-level miscreant or degenerate say he using this word to wield power over you so he can get some yams or a couple dollars, and you screaming it's a demon book, you big dummy. You know what I'm talking about? Because the actual tenets that are being done by the people who actually have power, and you looking at a goofy nigga who did some time, or a too-big criminal, or this, that, there, and the third. That junk weird. And the gentleman was like, man, when you read that book, you take on the nature of the book. I'm like, man, y'all grown, bro. You know, reading the book, you don't take on the nature of a book. And you know how I know that? Because people read the Bible every day and don't take on the nature of the spirit of the man in the book. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that. And as it says in Samuel, from the wicked shall proceed wickedness. Because, indeed, Omar, because that's what people like to say, that's a demon book. Man, a book is only as powerful as the intent of the individual reading it. Meaning, if the individual has the intent to do the things in said book, that's where the power from that book gonna come from, no matter the subject. So if you don't have an intent of doing anything that's written in said book, that book ain't nothing but words on paper. Indeed, it can't do nothing but bring out what's already. But I'm be honest with you. The things that are written in the 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, the Art of War, the Art of Seduction, you know what I'm saying? Prince by Machiavelli and things of this nature. Man, the majority of the human population don't have the charisma, the intelligence, the discipline, or the drive to implement any of those things in that book over an extended period of time, to be able to derive any real tangible benefit from anything that's in it. And that's just keeping it in the beam. That's why it's only certain individuals who, I'm talking about, I've told you before, you can look in these books if you desire. I don't care if you do. I don't care if you don't. These are real historical characters and people in this book, man. Like when you read The Art of Seduction, it's not even dealing with seduction as it pertains to romance, quote unquote. It's reading stories about Joseph Stalin, man. You know what I'm saying? About Malcolm X. They mentioned Moses in there, man. You know what I'm saying? Ronald Reagan in that book, man. You know what I'm saying? You look at 48 Laws of Power, Louis the 15th in that book, man. A former Israeli prime minister in that book, man. Not because of me being an individual who read about politics, who read about ancient cultures and things of this nature. That's why that book interested me, because, okay, I want to look at his perspective, how he breaking this down about these individuals and their conduct. You know what I'm saying? Because I was into political machinations and things of this nature. Man, most people don't have that capacity, man. People read a couple things out of books like that, do a couple things. I'm using the 48 Laws of Power when they help. Man, shut your goofy behind up, man. You sound dumb. And you sound 3 times as dumb for thinking that. Listen, man, a lot of people be like, oh, man, he's using the 48 Laws of Power to rule over the congregation. Man, these niggas ain't got to use the 48 Laws of Power to do that. They do that because most people want somebody to follow. Most of these men out here lack the father figure, so they want a man to attach to. A lot of women lack a father figure. A lot of people put preachers and pastors on pedestals. You already worship these people. They ain't got to do much because you already want to do it anyway. And that's what people don't understand. Man, when I was a young man, man, I seen that, man. Like just peeping that. Like I told you that before, I see that now. You got grown men and women, don't even call their pastor. Hey, stop doing that on that. That's not what that's for. Don't do that. You trying to make a knife? No. Yeah, don't do that. That's granted. Like I was able to identify as a teen and in my late teens and early 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned before, you got grown people who don't call their pastor by his name. They address him as pastor. And I told you before, individuals see that. Once an individual sees that you have an overwhelming level of reverence, esteem, etc., for them, if they don't have a pure heart, they're going to use that to their advantage. They're going to use it to their advantage because fundamentally, most people are selfish. So that if they can see that there's a benefit that I can derive out of this situation and circumstance that's going to directly benefit me, they're going to seize on it. They're going to seize on it. Because most people don't lead from a position of being selfless and being beneficial to the whole. Most people lead from the aspect of what can I extract and or benefit from these individuals where I get the most and give the least. Like you don't got to be a biblical scholar to peep that out. All you got to do is pay attention. You know what I'm saying? Because I was able to peep that out as a teen. And now I'm in the word. I see grown people, pastor, pastor, pastor. Man, that man got a name, blood. He ain't got a name. But you know why you don't call him by his name? I told you before, because he don't say nothing to you about it, because he like it. And you know why he like it? Because it boosts his ego. It boosts his self-esteem. He enjoys the validation. So he's going to allow you to do that. This is how these men end up ruling over people with an iron fist. This is how they end up making decisions on your life. This is how they end up smashing your old lady, smashing women in there, or they end up exploiting the people financially. This is how this happens because they foster the environment of cult of personality, which leads to an extreme oppressive dictatorship of where he dictates to everybody. See, people thinking it's dictating in the congregation. No, he dictating in these people's life. You're going to tell people who they can and can't marry. You're going to tell people where they can and can't work. You're going to tell people, I'm going to make these decisions for you because I'm the shepherd and I know what's best for you. You don't know what's best for you. That ain't nowhere in this book. You don't see these men who had that type of positions in this book ruling from that capacity. Absolutely not. It says to take care and oversight. So they're supposed to have a care for these people. Let me read that to you. Come over here to 1 Peter 5, man. I'm just going to read the aspect where he said that. 1 Peter 5 and 1, man. The elders which are among you, I exhort, also am an elder, a witness of the sufferings of Mashiach, also a partaker of the esteem that should be revealed. Feed the flock of Alahym, which is among you, taking the oversight, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, and neither as being lords over heritage, but in samples to the flock. So again, to just rehash your memory, oversight, episkopiho, to look upon, to inspect, to oversee, to look after, to care for. To look carefully, to beware. So simply, when he's saying taking the oversight, that's taking care. So what is it? We look in English. What does it mean to take care? I'm sorry, I got that pulled up. We were having a good doggone debate about the boy trying to say Wilt Chamberlain, he ain't got the record for most points because you can't prove he did it. Care refers to the provision of needs, protection, or supervision. The act of feeling concern, interest, or affection. It signifies serious attention or caution in actions. What is synonymous with responsibility and guardianship, attention and caution, concern and affection. That's what it means when he's telling you take the oversight of. That's what that means. I got care for you. Not that I'm trying to rule over you. The next thing it says is, and not doing this by constraint. What does this mean, not to do this by constraint? That is non-castos, by force, compulsory. So you're not taking this over by force. That goes back to what you can't force people to listen to you. You can't force people to follow you. But that's what people be trying to do. That's not of God. That's an example. Hey man, God ain't with this niggas. Why is he doing all this willingly? That means hakasihos, voluntarily, of one's own accord. That means that you gonna take the oversight willingly, and the people gonna come and follow willingly. Simple as that. And then you're not lording over these people. Katakariho, that's to bring under one's power, to subject oneself, to subdue, or to master, to be in subjection. You know what I'm saying? And you don't realize that's what these people out here doing, man. And you think that's how it's supposed to be. That ain't how it's supposed to be, blood. That ain't how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm talking about? But nevertheless, come back over here. And that's what you kind of see what the Pharisees had going on. Let's swing back to John 11. I'm going to work this Matthew 5 in right now, because we're running up on our time in about 21 minutes. Verse 47, John 11. But yeah, that junk just be irritating me, man, because that junk crazy. No, I say a lot of that stuff be rooted in daddy issues, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes don't really have the aspect. I done talked with a lot of bros over the years about this. I done told y'all about this, man. They're talking to dudes like, nah, bro, that's not my job. You know what I'm saying? The job is to produce fully functional men who can be able to perform the task that a man of Alahym should be able to perform. You know what I'm saying? Individuals look at this thing as simply just running a ministry because that's the only thing that people are concerned with. You know what I'm saying? Your life is bigger than when the assembly gather together. You know what I mean? There's still people you're going to have to come across in your day-to-day life. You got kids, you got a wife, you got a husband. You know what I'm saying? You got family members, you got all these different things. You got friends, you got co-workers, you got employees, all this type of stuff, man. And you got to be able to know how to stand on your own 10 toes. Not sent back 100% reliant on another man who ruling over you to tell you when to go and how to go and what to do and when to do that has nothing to do with the operation of the assembly. Nigga, that's crazy as hell. It's crazy as hell. And they convince you to do that because you've allowed people to convince you that a pastor is a ruler over people's life, and he is not. He's a caretaker. He's supposed to give care and attention to your soul, to your benefit, to your welfare. I'm mentioning that back because it says that they were grieved that these men were, that Nehemiah was coming to seek the welfare of the sons of Yasharal. The scribes and Pharisees were grieved because Yahushua was coming to seek the welfare of the children of Yasharal. And most of these niggas who out here preaching and teaching the word, if somebody was to step down in step 2, they would be grieved because they're not seeking the welfare of the people. They're not concerned with it. Anybody who want to argue doctrine all day is not concerned with the welfare of the people in any shape, form, or capacity. They can't be. They can't be. Because if they were, they would be focused on the things that add to the benefit, which expounds and expands the welfare of the people so they could advance and have excellence and prosperity. And what's more excellent than the knowledge of Yahushua HaMashiach, which leads to the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh by faith? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But nevertheless, John 11:47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man do many miracles. And if we let him thus alone, all will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Capheus, being the high priest, that same year said unto them all, you know nothing at all, nor consider that as expedient for us that one man should die for the people, that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and for that, not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the sons of Alahym that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth, they took counsel together for to put him to death. Yahushua therefore walked no more openly among the Yahudim, but went thence into a country near the wilderness, into a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Yahudim's Passover was near at hand. Many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then sought they for Yahushua and spake among themselves as he stood in the temple, what think you? Will he not come to the feast? Now the chief priests and Pharisees had given a commandment that if any man knew where he were, that he should show it, that they might take it. Now, of course, you know this leads up into him getting snatched, you dig? But let's come over here to Matthew 5, man. I want to share this conversation we had just because a lot of people don't talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Talk about certain things. You know, me and my people, man, we can have civilized conversations, even if everybody don't agree. I want you to come to Matthew 5:17. Now, the reason why we had this conversation, because my dog Judah be going in on ISUPK has a teaching that John the Baptist wasn't in the truth. And what they mean by that is that John the Baptist didn't follow Yahushua. So my dog Judah, he got a problem with that particular teaching. And they had a conversation about it. I didn't watch it because I done heard him talk to people lie about it, so I didn't feel the need to watch that. But then we went to discussing these two particular passages of a statement that the Lord is going to make. Yeah, I think they've been teaching it a while because I done heard Cap say it before. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't tripping on it. You know, some people heard it, got them agitated. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't tripping. Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, from their point of view, I can see why they said that. You know what I'm saying? As they were saying that he wasn't a direct disciple of Yahusha. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't something I'm really tripping on, because that's how a lot of people look at it. Oh, you not a follower of him at that time if you weren't a direct disciple. But as Madal said, like he said in John 9, if he be with us, then he can't be against us. You know what I'm saying? And John the Baptist was with him. So therefore, in and that of itself, he would be in the truth, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, from their point of view, how they explained it, I understand how they arrived to that conclusion. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with their interpretation of it, you know what I mean? But I see how they got there, because they're talking about explicitly and directly. Now we're going to read, they believe that Matthew 11 is a rebuke of John. I don't really see that, how they came to that conclusion, but that's how they see that. Matthew 5:17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly I say unto you, hey, take them shoes off, dude. For truly I say unto you, till Shamahim and the rats pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the Malkuth for Shamahim. But whosoever shall do and teach, the same shall be called great in the Malkuth for Shamahim. So verse 19 is the verse that we're focusing on, which is, what does Yahusha mean when he says least in the kingdom? Now we're going to go to Matthew 11 and 1. And it came to pass, this is Matthew 11 and 1. And it came to pass, when Yahusha made an end of the commandments, his 12 disciples, he departed from thence to teach and preach in their cities. You say, yep, never heard that explained. But if that's the case, I can see that as well, saying that Matthias didn't walk with Christ in the start because he replaced Judas in the same. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That it's a little strict literal process. Right? Like for me, it ain't even really that deep. And it came to pass, when Yahusha made an end of the commandment, his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John heard in the prison the works of a Mashiach, he sent 2 of his disciples and said unto him, are ye he that should come, or do we look for another? Now, this is where, because they're perceiving, because John asked this question, that Yahusha is rebuking John. And therefore, when we get to a particular passage, they're going to say that John is being punished. I myself do not understand how they came to that conclusion. I did not ask any questions pertaining to that, because they were discussing that with somebody else, and I didn't want to intervene, but I don't understand how they got there. Yahusha answered and said unto them, go and show Yachanan again those things which you do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised up, the poor have the basar preached to them. Baruch is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. So an individual, they believe that when he say, blessed is the man who should not be offended in me, they're believing John the Baptist asking this question is saying that John the Baptist was offended in Yahusha. I don't see how they arrived to that, but nevertheless. You need to take, okay, good job, sir. And as they departed, Yahusha began to say unto the multitudes concerning John. This is how I don't see how they see this as a rebuke of John, because his disciples, John's disciples, are going back to take that word back to John. Now Yahusha is talking to the multitude of people about John. What you went out in the wilderness to see, a reed shaken with the wind? But what went you out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went you out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, more than a prophet. Why is John the Baptist more than a prophet? This is what I ask everyone right now, just to see what your responses will be. When he says that John the Baptist is more than a prophet, what would you say in regard to justify the Lord's stance for saying this man is more than a prophet? What would make John the Baptist more than a prophet, according to your understanding at this given time? Anybody? Hey, chill out. Hey, chill out. See, I'm doing something. No. I'm doing something. Okay, I'm doing something. You say because he baptized Yahusha? That's fair. You say off the top, you would say his baptism, people in bringing people into repentance. The teacher and the shepherd, he prepared the way. Mary and Elizabeth both was with child. Indeed, John paved the way. Now, we're going to read the passage. Remember, he said the law and the prophets was until John. You know what I'm saying? John more than a prophet because, number one, John was born with the Ruach HaKodesh to lead with the aspect of he was able to identify who Yahusha was off the top, which, of course, would lead to, the baptism part. John said, hey, man, I need to be baptized in you. We talking about the other day, you don't even read where Yahusha baptized anybody. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say that he may have not done it. You just don't read that he did. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, all those answers are good. It's for when he say he is more than a prophet. Indeed, that he received this direction and instruction straight from Yahuwah to fulfill Isaiah 40, Malachi 3. You know what I'm saying? And other places. Speaking of John the Baptist, I just came to the realization Christ's kingdom is going to be that like that for the Father's kingdom. Indeed, preparing the way. Because remember, Isaiah 40, man, make straight the path. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, this is Matthew 11 and 9. But what for you went out to see a prophet? Yea, I say unto you more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before your face, which shall prepare your way before you. You know what I'm saying? So you see that Yachanan is an emissary off the drip. Truly I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there have not risen a greater than Yachanan the immerser. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the Malkuth for Shamahim is greater than he. From the days of Yachanan the immerser until now, the Malkuth for Shamahim suffer violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets in the law prophesied until John. And if you will receive it, this is Elijah, which was to come. He that have ears to hear, let him hear. Now, here's where we make our contrast. In verse 11, when he said there's none risen greater than John the Baptist, born of women, he said, notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. How would we contrast that to Matthew 5 and 19 when he says, he that teach men to break the least of these commandments shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven? This is what my dog asked yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I want to see how you answer it. Because I gave him my conclusion, and that was just mainly because I had never, contextually, I peeped what it means, but I went ahead and just looked it up, what the words meant, and ran it to him like that. Now, of course, I mentioned this to you because he was not asking that question from a point of contention. He just wanted to hear people's points of view. See, it's different and our crew, because we might argue just for the hell of it because we men, but there don't be no pressure. A lot of times we can just have a straight conversation. Let me understand why you believe that, or why you say that, or where you get that from. Which is why I even be around individuals like that, because I might get a spark of inspiration, and then it lead to what we're talking about now. So the question is, in Matthew 5 and 19, he says, he that break the least of these commandments and teach men to do so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Now in Matthew 11 and 11, Yahushua said, those that are born among women have not risen or greater than John the Baptist. Nevertheless, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. So he's looking at the two statements where least is mentioned. And what does that mean? You know what I mean? What does that mean? So let's take a look. Let's go to Matthew 5:19, you did? Because it's two different words for least that are being used in these passages. It's not the same word for least that's being used in both of them. So when you look at this Greek word for least, it is alakistos. It's an adjective. Smallest, least. Secondary definitions: in size, an amount of management of affairs, in importance, what is least, what is the least moment, in authority of commandments, an estimation of men or persons, in rank or excellence of persons. Least in size, amount, or dignity. Least, very little, small, smallest. So now when you come over here to chapter 11 and 11, when he says, notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom will be greater than John the Baptist, least here is mikros, another adjective. Small, little, of size, hence of stature or length, of space, of age, less by birth or younger, of time, short, brief, little, while, how little, a quantity, number, or amount, of rank or influence. So you got rank or influence in Matthew 11. And then when you come back at Matthew 19, though they share similar definitions, of rank and influence, one of them is in the instance of the estimation of men or persons, or in dignity. So when you look at dignity, there was another definition we read from the lexicon, but I can't remember what it was. Let me see what it is, man. Because the lexicons are a little different than the concordance. So at least on this one here, man, Matthew 5:19, least refers to the Greek word aleskitos, smallest, insignificant in the Hebrew context. It's going to likely refer to mitzvah, kalat, light or minor commandments. It emphasizes that breaking or teaching even against small commandments results in low status. Key details regarding least in Matthew 5:19 means smallest, insignificant. We just read that. We just got the Hebrew context. I don't care about no rabbis. This verse warns against dismissing any part of the Torah. The person who breaks and teaches these are the least will be called least and small. Some scholars interpret this as having a lower status or reward, or others supply that it simply suggests exclusion. I put Hebrew lexicon instead of Greek. Now, again, the key point is it's referring to status. Now, I'm going to read you Matthew 5 and 11, because like I said they share similar definitions. This is where we'll come in and where you understand the text in its totality when you're looking at status, because it's something in Samuel that's going to point us to that. You feel me? Now, when you look at Matthew 11, how it decides that least, which is comparative degrees, literally smaller, lesser, inferior in rank, it indicates that even the lowest member in the kingdom of heaven has a higher status or privilege than John the Baptist. Now, when you hear that, there's a multitude of passages that should come to mind as it relates to that. Because at least for me, I can see two different things being communicated from Matthew 5:19 to Matthew 11:11, which is going to lead you into a particular area. So when we look at this exclusion, since you break them, you'll be the least. Come to 1 Samuel chapter 2 real quick, you did. This is 1 Samuel 2. You can make it 27. And there came a man of Alahym unto Eli and said to him, thus saith Yahuwah, did I plainly appear into the house of your father when they were in Egypt in Pharaoh's house? And did I choose him out of all the tribes of Yasharal to be my priest, to offer upon my altar and burn incense, to wear ephod before me? And did I give unto the house of your father all offerings made by fire by the sons of Yasharal? Wherefore kick you at my sacrifice and my offering, which I've commanded in my habitation? And honor your sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the chiefs for all offerings of Yasharal my people. Wherefore Yahuwah Alahym of Yasharal saith, I say indeed that your house and the house of your father shall walk before me forever. But now Yahuwah saith, be it far from me, for them that honor me will I honor, and they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. So when we look at him, when he say those that despise him should be lightly esteemed, because clearly it says, hey, if you break the least of these commandments, you shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to give you the definition of despise, which is baza, zayin, and hay, to hold in contempt, disdain, to despise, to be vile, or to be worthless. Now, when you look at being lightly esteemed, kalal, to be slight, to be trifling, to be of little account, to be light, to be lightly esteemed, to make despicable, to curse, to treat with contempt, or to bring dishonor. And as you notice, so some of these things would be of little account, along with the contempt and disdain, you would be an individual of low rank. So when you look at him saying, and this is just lining it up with what you see. Okay, if you despise me, you will be lightly esteemed. Well, if you think that you can break the least of my instructions, you're going to be lightly esteemed in my kingdom. What happens if you're lightly esteemed? Isaiah 66 and 24. And then conversely, we'll look at the contrast of what it refers to when you're talking about John the Baptist. Because it said with John the Baptist, out of all those who were born of women, there was none greater than him. Why? Because John the Baptist was born with the Ruach HaKodesh. That would make him greater than anybody who had ever come through the matrix at that particular juncture. This is why he made this statement. Refer back to Luke chapter 1. Isaiah 66 and 24. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be abhorring unto all flesh. This is what happens when you're lightly esteemed. So if you break the least of his commandments, if you're breaking the least of his commandments and teaching other people to do so, that means his dominion or his rule or his sovereignty is not in you. Can't be. It's impossible. You understand? So you're going to be lightly esteemed. Now, when we go back to Matthew 11, right? And again, as forth as the contrast is concerned. Now, I did mention at one point, we say, truly among them that are born of women, there have not risen greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Oh, I ain't even see where you got that, John. But listen, come over here to 1 Corinthians 12. Now, what does 1 Corinthians 12 say? 1 Corinthians 12 and 22. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but Alahym have tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to the part which lacked, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another. A man being born with the spirit after Christ wouldn't be substantiated by the word correct. Yeah, I don't have anywhere else where you could point to somebody being born with the Ruach HaKodesh from birth. But I say there would be evidence if that's the case. If one was born with the Ruach from birth, they would be preaching Yahushua HaMashiach from the time that they'd be able to talk. Secondly, Clearly, they would never sin. You know what I'm saying? And see, if at least for me anyway, because that would be a quote unquote supernatural experience, I wouldn't even argue or dispute with nobody about that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's really no way that you could like concretely observe that's and say, oh, this is true or false. The only way that we would be able to substantiate that is to see the fruit of their doings, and then that would tell them. You know what I'm saying? You get in the point of trying to tell somebody what their experience was or wasn't, like you traveling down a dark road. You know what I'm saying? And like I told y'all before, right? I knew a dude. You know what I'm saying? Big homie told me when we were young, he knew a dude who died, and he say he sold his soul to the devil. I can't tell that man what he's seen. You know what I'm saying? Now, I have understanding of the word, but that would, I mean, of course, I didn't have it then. I have it, you know what I'm saying? But who am I to tell that man what he saw or what he experienced? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say they have experience with God, may have experience with angels and things of that nature. And hey, I ain't gonna go back and forth with you. But one thing I do know, and you know, me and my mans be talking about this all the time, like everybody who in the word claim they had a spirit. And when you look at it, when you look at people who be on the outside looking in, all these people claiming they got the spirit. Well, who got the right one? Because you believe this and he believed that, and he living like this and he living like that. And man, look at it. You say facts. That's how I look at it. Doesn't say it's not possible, but I don't be seeing necessary based on what's already been fulfilled. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Me personally, now if you ask for my opinion, I think John the Baptist was an outlier for that. I think John the Baptist was an outlier because it was certain things that were written of him for him to do, that the Spirit would have to give him the utterance to do it, because there's no way that somebody could be able to instruct him to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because whether it's 1 Samuel 10, like I said, whether it's Isaiah 40, whether it's Malachi 3, you know what I mean? This man written to do this. He was ordained from the get-go to do this. You know what I'm saying? So, and Yahusha stamping that, hey, he was sent to do this. You know what I'm saying? Some people see it that way, some people don't. You feel me? But I say I ain't finna get in nobody back and forth with nobody about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's too many people out here claiming to be born with a spirit. What you would look at, if you were born with the spirit, you would have to be born to facilitate some type of mission. You know what I'm saying? Like straight them down. Because what would be the rhyme, reason, and purpose of what you're born with it for? Which means you would also have to have a piece of information that ain't nobody got. So then when you look at considering that he said the law and the prophets was till John, and John was more than a prophet. So if an individual was born with the spirit, then he would have to be greater than John the Baptist of all those who came from women, and that this person would have to be more than a prophet. Because what's the rhyme, reason, and purpose of you being born with it? You know what I'm saying? And I also look at, that's where a lot of people get at stuff, that like the Lord just passed stuff out just for the hell of it. Now this man moved with purpose. There's a rhyme, reason, and purpose for everything. But nevertheless, what we look at in 1 Corinthians 12, right? When you see the more abundant parts. So John the Baptist is more than a prophet. But he's saying those that are least will be greater than him, or they'll have a higher rank or a higher level of excellence, which should for all of us speak to a common theme in this book. And let's see what that is. Genesis 25. And after that, Matthew 20. Genesis 25 and 22. Or 21. Isaac entreated Yahuwah for his wife because she was barren. Yahuwah entreated him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahuwah. You say a parent would have to be a believer as well? You would wager? I would wager that also. You know what I'm saying? And you take Zacharias and Elizabeth, it says that they were kept all the commandments of Yahuwah blameless. And Zechariah was a high priest. You know what I'm saying? So I don't disagree with that assessment either. I just don't see two random people who have no connection to Yahuwah whatsoever having a child and this child born with the spirit. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how that would work. You know what I'm saying? Others may see how that can work. Like I said, that's some stuff, man. That junk there get tricky because that's when people you're gonna be arguing people's experience, and when I say argue, I'm really just talking about debating or exchanging ideas. And that's not a conversation worth having. You know what I'm saying? It's really not. Okay, you were born with the spirit then. If you know what the words say, you know what identifying characteristics and fruit to be able to identify to whether that would be factual or not. Remember, it said Markham. When it say Markham, it don't say point this out and point that out. It said to be quiet and adjust yourself accordingly. Because I'm not gonna argue with no. If somebody say I had a dream, I seen and that's what I be talking about with people. Like, how you gonna argue that? How you gonna dispute that? You can't. So the best thing is, all right, cuz God came to you in a dream, then, brother. Okay, you was born with the spirit, then, brother. I'm not gonna argue with you about that. No. And when I say argue, I'm not even finna talk to you. I'm not even finna give you no pushback. I'm not finna do none of that. Like, it's a dude I know, he say he been healing people, and some people be giving him pushback. Hey, man, if he say he been out there healing people, brother, he been out there healing people. I'm not finna go back and forth with that man about that. And that just also showed me, not to say you mentioned that, Darius, that just showed me that in the state of time that we live in, that's all anybody want to do is try to prove somebody wrong in what they saying. Man, if it's of God, it's going to show. And if it's not, it's going to show. That's how I look at it, because that's what the book say. If it's of God, like he said, man, like he told, Gamaliel told them people, man, if them men be of God, you're going to be finding yourself fighting against God, man, and you ain't going to be able to overthrow it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see the purpose of doing that. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? And I don't. Man. Like Jeremiah told Hananiah, man, praise God, amen, bring it to pass. I'm going to keep my sanity, man. You know what I'm saying? Because these people will drive you half-inch crazy, man, and then talk about you after they did it. Genesis 25, man, 23. Yahuwah said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So fundamentally, what you seeing when he say he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is going to be greater than him, because the elder going to serve the younger. The theme that coming straight from our law. Nothing complex, nothing deep, as we like to try to make it. Matthew 20 and 25. But Yahushua called them unto him and said, you know, the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the son of Adam came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Let me go to Matthew 11 and let me get great. Because it says you'll be greater than him. You know, great in Hebrew is usually going to be gadol. Mid-zone is the Greek word for it. Greater, larger, elder, stronger. So that's all it means. You know what I'm saying? So fundamentally, because John the Baptist would be greater or larger based off the rank that he had, he will become the younger and you will become the elder. So you just see the aspect of the law being communicated. But people taking that as a demotion or diss, when it's just the reality, you just fundamentally omitting the principles of the word. Because the elder serving the younger come from the jump. Because we know that's a testimony of Yahushua, because he is the firstborn of creation. He's the beginning of all things. So that, as it says in Revelation 3, let me read that there, man, for a nigga talking about, nah, he ain't this here. I got something for you, nigga. I got something for you right here. This is Revelation 3 and 14. And unto the Alahym of the synagogue of the Laodiceans write, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness in the beginning of the creation of Alahym. And just in case somebody want to be like, because somebody argued with me about that long time ago. He wasn't created. I say, well, you got to argue with him about that, because that's what he said. I'm not going back and forth with you about that. The man say he was the beginning of creation of Alahym. That's what it is. I'm not going back and forth about nothing. Kistis, the act of founding or establishing or building, the act of creating or creation, things created, individual things, beings, a creation, a creature, a creation, anything created. After rabbinical usage by which a man converted from idolatry to Judaism, which was called the sum of aggregate things created, institution or ordinance, the building, the creation, the ordinance. So in the beginning, he's the act of founding, or he's the establisher of the building, the establishing of the building. You dig? So, and he is the beginning of all things, and he is the elder. But yet he said, I didn't come to be served, I came to serve. Therefore, the elder is serving the younger. So if John the Baptist is more than a prophet, and he that is least, according to like what we read in 1 Corinthians 12, then the elder is going to serve the younger. And it's just a testament of the things that's in the law. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, at least when we were discussing it yesterday, people was looking at it from a personal aspect. Like he wasn't talking to John the Baptist, he was talking to the people. John the Baptist's disciples were gone. You know what I'm saying? He was actually exalting John, but keeping the principle of the same as him. I'm your Lord and Master, yet I've washed your feet. You know what I'm saying? But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, y'all willing what the day is, man. The 11th. So yeah, we about 3 weeks out from unleavened bread, man. You dig? Peace, brother Omar. So what, the first night, April the 2nd, we running. You already know that. You know what I'm saying? Whole week straight, we're gonna make it do what it do. You know what I'm saying? Sabbath says 8 o'clock. Every other day, 7:30. You know what I'm saying? Save the weekly Sabbath. I put the times in the community tab. Y'all willing? 3 on Sabbath day. You know that Sabbath day is a double header, so we probably start at 8. You know what I'm saying? Just for the meantime, between time, possibly 7:30. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's gonna have to be by 8. I'll probably cut that one short. Shalom, Sister Jenna. I ain't gonna lie. I probably cut that because I tend to cut that one a little shorter. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's 2 back to back. You dig? So, yeah, that's what we got. You feel me? If you foresee that you will not be able to participate in the Passover, yet you would be able to participate by reason of whatever manner of uncleanliness for the second Passover, you just have to alert me, because second Passover, unless somebody come and like, hey, I was unclean for whatever reason, I couldn't do it, I'm going to come to second Passover so I can do it, then we have service in our stream. Amen, man. But if not, then we're not going to have service, because there would be no need for me to stream for second Passover if no one has the need to take the Passover. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's why I mentioned that, because I need to know. This time it's just in my brain earlier to get out ahead of it. Then in case that, remember the second Passover is if you have some manner of uncleanliness or by reason of long journey. Shalom, my G. Amen. By long journey, you won't be able to make it. Hold on. That's all it's for, man. Hold on. It might be a number, man. Yeah, number's 9 and 9. Well, hold on. 9 and 1. So just for those who are not familiar, you were speaking to Moses in Sinai, in the wilderness of Sinai. Peace, brother Nate. In the first month of the second year, after they came out of the land of Mizraim, saying, let the sons of Yasharah also keep the Passover at his appointed season. In the 14th day of this month at even, you shall keep it in his appointed season. According to all the rites of it and according to the ceremonies thereof shall you keep it. Moses spake unto the sons of Yasharah that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses. So did the sons of Yasharal. There were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, we are defiled by the dead body of a man, wherefore we are kept back, that we may not offer an offering of Yahuwah in his appointed season among the sons of Yasharal. Moses said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what Yahuwah command concerning you. Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the sons of Yasharal, saying, if any man of you of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto Yahuwah. The 14th day of the second month at even shall they keep it, and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any bone of it. According to the ordinances of the Passover shall they keep it. But the man that is clean and is not in a journey and forbear to keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahuwah in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. If a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover of Yahuwah unto Yahuwah according to the ordinance of the Passover, according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. You shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that is born in the land. So that's the purpose of second Passover. Now, of course, if some of y'all who live out of town and you just like, man, it ain't feasible economically for you to slide around here, man, you know, make you some unleavened bread, drink the wine at the house. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing no tripping. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of people be tripping on things that don't need to be tripped on. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Stuff ain't, you know what I mean? Niggas be on some other stuff. But hey, I appreciate y'all. And I bless y'all, the house of Alahym, in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all, man. Y'all with it, man. We'll be back at it on Shabbat, man. Make it do what it do. Until then.